The night air presses heavy against the glass doors of a small, dimly lit diner on the edge of the city. Neon lights flicker above, buzzing faintly like a tired secret trying to stay alive. Inside, the clinking of plates and the low hum of conversation fill the room. It's ordinary, almost forgettable, but to him tonight, it is the stage of something far bigger. The door creaks open, and in steps a man who doesn't look like much. His hoodie is plain, faded from too many washes. His jeans hang loose, frayed at the hems, his shoes, scuffed. To anyone watching, he's another working man trying to get through another working day. But in truth, this is a man who could buy every building on this block without blinking. The CEO, a millionaire, accustomed to boardrooms, deals, and power. Yet here, right now, he hides it all behind a mask of simplicity. On either side of him, two small figures clutch his hands, his twins. 6 years old, died, hair slightly messy from the rush of getting here. They don't complain, though the day has been long. The girl drags a stuffed rabbit by one arm, the boy carries a toy car tucked into his pocket, and together they walk with him like shadows tethered by love. He leans down and whispers, voice low, carrying the weight of something they don't yet understand. Tonight is important, watch carefully. People reveal who they are when they think there's nothing to gain. The twins exchange a puzzled look, their innocence not quite catching the meaning, but they nod anyway, as if their tiny agreement seals them into the secret. They slide into a booth near the far corner, where the light is soft and the view of the room is wide. He chooses that spot deliberately. He wants to see her first before she sees too much of him. He wants to watch her eyes, her gestures, the small decisions she makes without thinking. The twins climb into the seat beside him, legs dangling, whispering to each other in little bursts of excitement. The man straightens in his seat, pulling his hood down just enough. His heartbeat is steady, but underneath, there's a current of nerves he hasn't felt in years. This isn't a business deal. There's no contract, no figures, no negotiation. It's far riskier, because tonight, what's at stake is not a merger, not a fortune. It's trust, and trust, he knows, cannot be bought. Across the diner, a shadow moves. She's already there, waiting. He catches the faint curve of her profile near the window. A woman sitting alone, her hands wrapped around a glass of water, fingers tapping softly against it, as if to calm herself. She doesn't know yet that the man walking toward her isn't who she thinks. She doesn't know that the twins at his side are part of the story she's about to step into. The CEO draws in a breath, steadying himself, and then, with the twins close beside him, he takes the first step toward the table. She's already there when he approaches, sitting at a booth near the window, the glow of the neon sign painting her face in shifting hues of pink and blue. Her posture is straight but slightly tense, like someone waiting for an answer to a question she hasn't asked yet. A glass of water sits untouched in front of her, condensation sliding slowly down its side, gathering in a small ring on the table. Her hands keep tracing the rim of the glass, a nervous rhythm, as if the silence around her is louder than the soft chatter of the diner. He stops for a second before sliding into the booth. In this pause, his twins press closer against him, eyes darting toward the woman they've never met. She glances up, and in that instant their worlds collide. Her smile flickers, small, hesitant, almost uncertain. He returns it, subdued, measured, not the smile of a powerful man who has commanded boardrooms, but of someone with nothing to prove. That's the mask he wears tonight. Hi, she says softly, her voice carrying a mixture of relief and curiosity. Hi, he replies, sliding into the booth opposite her. His twins scramble in beside him, knees bumping against the vinyl seat, faces half, hidden but curious. She looks at them, not at him, and the first real test begins. "You're a single dad?" she asks, tilting her head. Her tone isn't judgmental, just cautious. "Yeah," he answers, his hand resting lightly on the table, fingers tapping as if to steady his own nerves. "It's just us." There's a heartbeat of silence. He studies her face carefully. Does she flinch? Does she pull back? He's watching, waiting, but instead her lips curve into something different, a warmer smile. Not forced, not polite, but genuine, and her shoulders seem to loosen. They're adorable, she says, nodding toward the twins. The girl clutches her stuffed rabbit tighter half, hiding behind it, while the boy slides his toy car across the table in a small, silent offering. She laughs softly, a sound that slips into the air like it belongs here. She doesn't push, doesn't probe with questions about the mother, doesn't tilt her head in pity. Instead, she leans forward, elbows lightly resting on the table, and begins to talk. The conversation starts small, where she grew up, the kind of music she listens to. She asks the twins their names, and when they shyly whisper them, she repeats them out loud as though tasting the words, as though making them feel important. He watches her closely, his expression neutral, but inside the calculations are constant. Every glance, every reaction, every flicker of emotion across her face is being weighed. Is she here for connection or for something else? She doesn't know the man across from her is wealthy beyond measure. All she sees is someone who looks tired, maybe struggling, raising kids on his own. And yet, she hasn't looked at the empty space where an expensive watch might have been. She hasn't questioned why he chose this humble diner instead of somewhere more polished. Her focus is on him, on them, on the twins whispering between bites of fries the waitress just set down. And he feels something shift, subtle but undeniable, as she leans closer, her voice soft but steady, speaking like she's not just talking to a stranger, but stepping into a story she doesn't yet know she's part of. The plates arrive one by one, set down with a clatter of ceramic and the faint smell of grease that hangs heavy in the air. Burgers stacked high, golden fries spilling across the plates, milkshakes crowned with whipped cream, and a single cherry perched at the top. The twins dive in without hesitation, laughter bubbling out of them as ketchup smears across their hands. He watches them, then glances at her. How will she react? She doesn't frown at the mess. She doesn't hesitate. When the boy's drink tips slightly and a trail of soda dribbles onto the table, she reaches instantly for napkins, sliding them across with a calm smile. "Here you go, buddy," she says, dabbing the table as if it's nothing. No grimace, no complaint, just ease. He studies her in silence, his fork untouched. Every moment is deliberate. The way he shifts in his seat, the way he speaks of his life as though it's stitched together with struggle and long hours. He talks about odd jobs, fixing cars, unloading trucks, barely making enough. He tells it plainly, with no embellishment, just the weary tone of a man surviving. It's a story he's crafted, but the weight in his voice feels real even to him. She listens, really listens, her eyes locked onto his, not darting to the exit or scanning the room for someone better. She nods in the right places, leans forward when he grows quiet, and when the twins interrupt, tugging at his sleeve, she doesn't seem annoyed. She joins their little chatter, asking about their toys, their favorite cartoons, even laughing at their haft. Old stories that trail off into giggles. Inside, his mind is moving quickly. He's used to reading people, their lies, their hunger, the glint in their eyes when they see profit. In the boardroom, he can spot deception before a word is spoken. But here, across this simple diner table, he isn't sure yet. Her eyes are steady, her laugh unforced, her body language open. There's no calculation, no fishing for what he does, how much he earns, or where he lives. And that unsettles him more than greed ever could. The twins chatter on, milkshake straws squeaking as they sip too fast, and he leans back, arms folding. His gaze fixes on her. "It's not easy, you know," he says quietly, letting the weariness drip from his words. "Some days I don't even know how I'll manage." He leaves the sentence hanging, an open invitation for judgment, for pity, for distance, but she doesn't pull away. Her eyes soften. "It must be hard." She says simply, not with pity but with recognition, as though she understands more than she lets on. Her hand brushes the rim of her glass, and she holds his gaze without flinching. The sound of laughter from another table echoes faintly. The hum of the diner's neon sign buzzes overhead. The twins argue gently over the last fry, their voices overlapping. And in the middle of it all, he sits perfectly still, measuring her silence, weighing her every reaction, testing how far this facade can stretch before something breaks. The chatter of the diner softens as the evening drags on, the plates growing emptier, the milkshakes drained to the bottom. The twins slump in their seats, the boy pushing his toy car back and forth across the table while the girl leans against her stuffed rabbit, eyelids heavy. The man watches them with quiet affection, then shifts his gaze to her. She's laughing softly at something the boy just mumbled, the kind of laugh that spills out without effort, and for a moment he almost forgets the test he's running, almost. Then the clink comes, a leather folder, slim and unassuming, set down in the center of the table. The bill, the sound echoes louder in his head than it should, like a gavel striking wood. The waiter slips away, leaving silence hanging between them. His hand twitches, resting just inches from the folder. He knows exactly how much it is. He doesn't need to open it. Money has never been a question in his life. He could pay for every meal in this diner tonight and not feel it. But tonight, money is the one thing he refuses to touch. He lets his hand hover, not quite reaching, not quite pulling back, a deliberate hesitation, long enough for her to notice. He feels her eyes on him, her awareness sharpening, and in that pause lies the heart of everything he needs to see. Her brow furrows just slightly, the faintest crease of thought. She glances at the twins, then back at him, then at the untouched folder lying between them. For a breath, he waits for the flicker of discomfort, for the subtle recoil, for the calculation that almost always follows this moment. But what happens next is different. Without a word, she reaches across the table. Her hand moves calmly, almost casually, as though it's the most natural thing she could do. Fingers close around the folder, pulling it toward her. She doesn't look at him for permission. She doesn't even ask. She just takes it. "I've got this," she says, her voice quiet but steady. His chest tightens. For a man who has bought skyscrapers, luxury cars, entire companies with the stroke of a pen, this small gesture hits harder than any billion-dollar deal ever has. He watches as she opens the folder, slips her card inside, and tucks it shut again, sliding it neatly to the edge of the table for the waiter to collect. Her hands don't tremble. Her expression doesn't shift. There's no smugness, no performance. Just a simple decision, done without hesitation. The twins are oblivious, lost in their own little world of whispers and giggles. But he feels the weight of the moment pressing down like a secret only he understands. His pulse quickens, his throat dry. She's not paying to impress him. She's not paying to prove something. She's paying because she wants to, because she chooses to, because in her eyes this isn't a test at all. It's just dinner, and that's enough. The night has deepened outside. Through the diner's wide windows, the city hum is faint. Cars passing in streaks of light, a siren wailing in the distance before fading into silence. The twins skip ahead on the sidewalk, their laughter ringing like small bells in the cool air. He lingers behind, walking slowly beside her, the weight of something unspoken pressing against his chest. She hugs her coat tighter, her breath visible in the chill. "They're sweet," she says, glancing at the kids darting just a few steps too far ahead. Full of energy, her smile lingers as she looks at him, and for the first time tonight, he almost feels naked under her gaze, not because she sees through him, but because she doesn't. He swallows, his throat dry. Every instinct tells him to let the night end here, to let the lie stretch one more day, one more meeting, one more chance to know for certain. But the words press harder, demanding release, until he can't hold them back anymore. "Wait," he says, his voice lower now, carrying a gravity that stops her mid. Step. She turns, her eyes wide, brows knit in confusion. The twins keep running ahead, oblivious, their laughter echoing off the buildings. He glances at them, then back to her, his chest rising and falling. "There's something I need to tell you," he says. The streetlight above casts them in pale gold, her face half shadowed, half illuminated. The city feels quieter here, as though the world itself is waiting for his confession. He draws a breath, steadying himself. "I'm not who I said I was." He begins slowly, his words careful, heavy. "I'm not broke. I'm not struggling to make ends meet. The truth is..." He hesitates, the pause deliberate, his heart pounding louder than the sounds around them. "I'm the CEO of one of the largest companies in this city." Her lips part, but no words come out. She blinks, staring at him as if she's waiting for the punchline to a joke that never arrives. He pushes forward, his voice firmer now. "I own buildings, businesses, a fortune that could take care of these kids for 10 lifetimes, and tonight," he swallows hard, "tonight, everything I told you was a test." The silence between them is sharp. Her breath catches, her body stiffens, and she takes a half step back, as though the ground itself shifted beneath her. The sound of the twins' giggles drifts back to them. But here, under this streetlight, there is only the two of them locked in a moment that feels fragile, dangerous, unbreakable all at once. He studies her face, searching for anger, for betrayal, for the flicker of greed he's seen so many times before. But her expression is unreadable, caught between disbelief and something else he can't name. Her eyes shine, reflecting the light, and her lips finally part, as though words are forming. Slow, uncertain, rising like a tide that hasn't yet broken free. The night air is colder now, the city lights glowing brighter as the twins loop back toward them, their laughter chasing down the empty street. She's still frozen in place, her eyes locked on his, as though she's trying to decide if she just stepped into a dream or a lie too elaborate to be real. Her voice finally breaks through the silence. "Why?" It's soft but sharp. "Why pretend?" He exhales, the weight of the question cutting deeper than he expected. His hands slip into his pockets, not out of arrogance, but out of a strange vulnerability he hasn't felt in years. "Because I had to know," he says, his words hang in the air, heavy, honest. "I've spent my life surrounded by people who wanted me for what I could give them. Money, status, power, but tonight, I needed to see if someone could care for us when there was nothing to gain." The twins run up, the boy tugging at his sleeve, the girl pressing her stuffed rabbit against her chest as she leans into the woman's leg, almost instinctively, as if she's already claimed a piece of her heart. She looks down, startled by the warmth of their touch, then back at him. Her eyes glisten, shimmering with a mixture of disbelief and something far deeper. "You don't understand," she whispers. "I didn't offer to pay because I thought you couldn't. I did it because it felt right, because it didn't matter." Those words slice through him more cleanly than any deal, any victory, any success. He stares at her, seeing not just a woman who sat across from him in a diner, but someone who passed the test he wasn't even sure anyone could. Someone who chose kindness without calculation. The twins cling tighter to her, and she kneels, brushing the boy's hair back, laughing softly as the girl whispers something into her ear. For the first time in years, he feels his chest loosen, the armor he's worn in boardrooms and negotiations cracking just enough to let something fragile and real slip through. He steps closer, his voice low but steady. "You don't know it yet," he says, watching her expression, but tonight changed everything. She looks up at him, still kneeling between the twins, and in her eyes he sees no trace of the greed he's spent his life shielding himself against. Only uncertainty, only curiosity, only the beginnings of trust. The city hums around them, neon buzzing, traffic rolling in the distance. But for a fleeting moment, it feels like the world has shrunk to this sidewalk, this light, these 4 lives tangled together by chance. The twins giggle, tugging her hands, urging her to stand, their innocence bridging a gap words can't quite fill. She rises slowly, still unsure, still processing, but she doesn't pull away, and when her hand brushes against his, whether by accident or fate, he doesn't move. For the first time in years, the CEO doesn't feel like a man playing roles, hiding behind money, or testing those around him. Tonight, standing here with her and the twins, he feels like something rarer. Like a man who has finally found what he's been searching for all along.